Has this ever happened to you? Maybe you're in a library, a coffee shop, or you're sitting in a restaurant and someone at the next table is eating. And that sound, that wet, scraping, smacking sound, forces you to get up and leave. And everyone else? Completely fine. Like nothing happened, you start thinking, what is wrong with me? Most people will tell you, you're just too sensitive. But what if that reaction is actually one of the clearest signs that your brain is wired differently and more powerfully than the average person? Stay with me, because in the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you 7 things that genuinely happen to people with high intelligence. And I'm willing to bet at least 4 of them are going to feel uncomfortably familiar. Not guessing, because by the end of this video, you're going to recognize yourself in things that will actually surprise you. Sign number 1. Chewing sounds drive you crazy. Let's start there. With the chewing dot, it has a real name. It's called misophonia. And research shows that people with higher cognitive sensitivity, meaning people whose brains are more active, more aware, more tuned in, experience this reaction far more intensely than others. Your brain isn't broken. It's just louder, more alive. It picks up on things that other brains simply filter out. Think about it. When you walk into a room, do you notice details others miss? Do certain sounds pull you completely out of your thoughts? Do you ever feel overstimulated in places that seem totally normal to everyone else? That's not anxiety. That's not weakness. That's a brain that refuses to run on autopilot. Sign number 2. You adapt to new situations faster than the people around you. Think about the last time everything changed for you. A new job, a new city, a new relationship dynamic, new rules at work. When everyone else was still complaining 2 weeks later, you had already figured out the system. You had already mentally mapped the new landscape. You were already 3 steps ahead. People probably said things like, wow, you adjusted so fast, or I don't know how you do that. Here's how you do that. High intelligence is strongly correlated with cognitive flexibility, the brain's ability to shift frameworks quickly. Instead of clinging to how things were, your brain automatically starts modeling how things are. That's adaptive pattern recognition happening in real time. You're not cold or detached, because change doesn't destroy you. You were built for it. Sign number 3. You talk to yourself. A lot, okay, be honest. You have full conversations in your head. Maybe out loud in the car. Maybe in the shower. You're literally rehearsing arguments, planning scenarios, explaining things to an imaginary audience. People who don't do this think it's strange. Psychologists call it private speech and research. Published in the Quarterly Journal of Experiment. Psychology found that talking to yourself actually improves cognitive performance. It helps organize complex thoughts, stay focused, and work through problems your brain can't untangle in silence. Average person thinks in fragments. You think in sentences, paragraphs, fully constructed arguments. That voice in your head isn't a quirk. It's your intelligence working overtime, using language as a tool to process what your mind is already moving through at high speed. Sign number 4. You feel other people's emotions. Sometimes, before they say a word, you walk into a room and you already know something's off. Not because anyone said anything, because of how someone is standing. The energy, a micro-expression that crossed someone's face for half a second. And then they tell you later, yeah, you were right. I didn't want anyone to know. You pick up on things others don't even see. This isn't just empathy. It's a form of high-speed social pattern recognition. Emotional intelligence research consistently shows that people with higher general intelligence process nonverbal cues faster and more accurately than others. But here's the part. Nobody tells you it's exhausting, because you're not just experiencing your own emotional state. You're constantly running background processing on everyone in the room. At parties, at family dinners, at work, and most people have no idea you're doing it. You've probably learned to hide it. Because when you say, I could tell you were upset, people look at you like you've been reading their mail. You're not psychic. You're just paying attention at a level most people can't sustain. Sign number 5. You have a deep, almost obsessive love of learning. Not school. School actually bored you. I mean real learning. You go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole at 1 a.m. about the history of Byzantine architecture, and you don't even know why you started. You watch a documentary and then spend 2 hours reading the research behind it. You learn things that might never be useful, and you don't care, because knowing just feels good. It's called need for cognition, a psychological trait that describes how much a person enjoys and engages in effortful thinking for its own sake. Studies consistently show that people with higher IQ score dramatically. Higher on need for cognition scales. Average intelligence seeks answers. High intelligence seeks questions. You're not a nerd. You're not showing off. Your brain is literally addicted to understanding things. And that addiction, that compulsion to keep learning, is one of the most reliable markers of a powerful mind. Sign number 6. You listen to the same songs on repeat. This one's going to feel oddly specific, and that's exactly why I'm including it. Do you have a playlist, or maybe just one song that you've listened to thousands of times, and it still hits the same way, maybe even harder than the first time? Most people get bored of songs quickly. They need novelty. They move on, but highly intelligent minds form deep associative connections with music. A song doesn't just sound good to you, it anchors a feeling, a memory, a mental state. You come back to it because your brain has built something meaningful around it. You're not repetitive. You're precise, you know exactly what you need, and you go get it. There's actually research suggesting that people who experience strong emotional responses to music, what scientists call chills or free song score, higher on measures of openness and cognitive depth. Your playlist isn't basic. Your brain just knows what it needs. Sign number 7, you daydream. Wait, haven't we covered this already? Yes, and also no. Earlier, we talked about self-talk as a way to focus. But this is different. This is about creation, about innovation. Have you ever been in the shower, on a walk, driving alone, and suddenly a complete idea just arrived? And you started working through it out loud, building it, questioning it, refining it, like you were having a meeting with your own mind. That's not random. Highly intelligent people use internal dialogue as a creative engine. They don't wait for inspiration. They generate it through conversation with themselves. The most original thinkers in history, scientists, writers, inventors, described exactly this process. Their internal conversation was where their best work was born. So if sounds irritate you that others ignore, if you adapt while everyone else is still complaining, if you talk to yourself, feel rooms before you enter them, can't stop learning. Repeat the same songs and live half your life inside your own mind. You're not broken. You're not overthinking. You're operating with a cognitive profile that most people will never understand because they weren't built for it. So tell me, how many of these felt familiar? How many made you stop and think, wait, that's me? Because here's what I want you to understand. Intelligence isn't just about test scores. It's not about how fast you solve math problems or how many books you've read. It's about how your brain experiences the world, how it processes, connects, feels, and creates. And if you recognized yourself in 3 or 4 of these signs, your brain is doing something that most people's brains simply don't. Drop a number in the comments, 1 through 7, because I read every single one. And I want to know which sign made you stop mid-scroll. If this video made you see yourself a little differently, that feeling, that's not an accident. That's your brain recognizing itself. See you in the next one.